I really enjoy seeing your studio.
It is very
It's
colorful. It is
amazing.
definitely a ball of insanity.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I can really get a
Yeah.
sense of, I'm thinking about your projects and thinking about, I get this, I see the palette there.
I know it's a little out of control in my mind because I'm a slight fabric hoarder, and for that reason it's a bit embarrassing, but I go with it. I'm like, I use it. I cover buildings. I need that fabric. So
No, it's awesome.
it's what it is. And I love color. I'm like, why not just surround yourself with
Yeah.
all these like possibilities of pattern and fabric? I just feel like I'm collaging constantly. It's really awesome. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a real treat to see it, to see it in this stage of the process.
Yeah.
So you initially started Bad at Sports with Richard and Duncan back in Chicago, right?
Yes, so Bad at Sports started, I'm always forgetting the year. I should remember. We're almost at our 20th year. And like Duncan and Richard started the first three or four, no, three shows. I jumped in on the fourth show. One we had to dump because of a reality show problem. But yes, it was one of those magical things. Like, our triad was really beautiful. Like, I was kind of the social butterfly, getting out and about. Richard knew how to do sound, and Duncan was just deep into theory. And so all three of us kind of made this awesome triad of conversation. And yeah, so I think I was saying earlier that like I would go around and try to tell people what a podcast was, and people still didn't understand. Like I was like, don't, when you push play on the website, don't watch the thing go across the screen. Like go do something. And they were like, what? What? They were stuck in radio.
Yeah.
It wasn't like iTunes existed, but it wasn't really, we didn't quite understand what it was yet. So yeah, the podcast was great. I mean, us three had a very good time meeting people. It's kind of like what you're doing, chatting with people, meeting people, getting to talk about art. I mean, yeah, I got pretty good at interviewing people on the fly, whether I knew their work or not.
How did you have the idea to do it in the first place?
I mean, Duncan and Richard started it, like in the sense of let's do this conversational thing with people. And then I came in where it was like, okay, let's talk to this person, let's socially get these people, these young people are going there. Like it was all of our kind of like events to bring it together. And it was slow because I mean, a lot of times when you're figuring stuff out, you don't just magically have it happen out of nowhere. Somehow we kept it going. I mean, I think a big part of it was that we decided not to go with a ton of money backing because a lot of times that just creates tension. I mean, it did no matter what. But we were able to kind of sustain it just through volunteers and people helping us out. Um, so yeah.
You never
Mhm.
had ads or anything.
I think we did. I don't know. I like not re- yes and no. Like I feel like we would try and then not. And then I was, I mean, my perspective is that I just love talking to people. I'm a chatty Cathy. So I just want to get to know people. I want to find out what they're thinking, why they're an artist day to day, what gives them the reason to be an artist, like, and what does their work do to them to give them that like purpose to make more. Um, so that was what I wanted to do when we were talking. Plus, it was like getting to know artists. I was young at that time. I mean, I was like in my 20s and had just gone out of grad school. Like I went undergrad, grad teaching, like boom, 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 nonstop. So I was like 27, 25, somewhere in that zone, 25 when I started teaching at the Art Institute, just like part time. I was a baby. So doing
Yeah.
these interviews was really helpful. It just like let me get to know people and get to know what the art world was. I didn't know what that was. So
So it's an amazing experience. It sounds like it really sort of enriched your experience as an artist and finding your way in the art world, what that's about, what these different, it's not just one art world. There's all kinds of
of
so many
course.
dimensions to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was so lost. I'm from Missoula, Montana. So we were very isolated out there pre-internet. But I lived in Missoula, which was a pretty creative place. I mean, I call it like the Berkeley of Montana. And we were making our own stuff constantly. I was in a bunch of bands. We were doing a lot of performances. It was just, we would bubble and do things together. Knowing we never had a big audience, but it was just, let's make it happen. You want to have a parade? Fuck it, let's do it. Like it was that kind of community. And the
Yeah.
university was there. So it made it a lot more kind of like there's some flow of cultural ins and outs. So we like, and we lived on I-90, so all the bands would come and stay and play in Missoula and then keep going. Um, and that was like at the height of like the 90s sub pop kind of awesome time period where people going to Seattle and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what does that have to do with anything I'm talking
Well,
about?
so you were an undergrad in Montana and Missoula,
No,
right? No.
no. I actually grew up in Missoula, Montana, graduated high school, Hellgate High School, and moved to Beloit, Wisconsin, of all places. The reason I brought it up is kind of like why I went to Beloit. I didn't really know much about college or what I should do. I was totally enveloped in the art community, but I just didn't know you could do it as a job. And I was like doing all these photography things and sculptures. I ran the art department and had this big World AIDS Day that I organized. Like I was active, but I just kind of thought, no, this is what I want to do. But I didn't know you would do it afterwards. I thought, oh, I gotta get a job, like whatever that is.
Of course, of course.
And so going to Beloit, I couldn't afford to travel anywhere out of Missoula. So I just called one of my parents' friends and they were like, oh, yeah, I think you'd like it. So that's the only place I applied. I didn't know. I was a math major for a couple of years. And then I
Interesting.
realized, no, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you, but you
Sorry.
knew, it sounds like you knew early on growing up that you were an artist.
I did. I mean, I always did. I've been sewing and making shit. You should have seen my bedroom in high school. It was like covered floor to ceiling. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Prick Up Your Ears, but like they'd collage the whole wall with magazine cutouts, and I was obsessed with doing that. So I had floor to ceiling wallpaper of magazine faces and everything, and postcards.
So you were
Uh,
collaging even back then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, anytime. And then fabric was such a great thing because that was all the secondhand stores back in the day. You know, we were in the 90s, all the fabric was from the 50s and 60s. And so it was just like electric, psychedelic, and it was 5 cents. And so it was so cheap. And my brain works really well with geometric shapes going flat. And that's why I'm really good at math. Like I can kind of see things, flatten it, and then put them back together. And so I just go to the thrift store, buy a bunch of fabric, and be like, oh, I should build a hat, or oh, maybe I'll build a eyeball, or maybe. And I was reading a lot of comic books. Like comic
Yeah.
books really got infused into my world. So I was like, can I make comic books real? And that's what I started doing. And as I went to undergrad, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm an artist. Okay. And then that was more about kind of learning what it was to be an artist in some way and like studio practice and talking to people that like your work. I didn't know anything about that. And then grad school was just, I need some friends that like to do other stuff like I do. And so I went to University of Wisconsin in Madison, and that was actually a pretty good year that I went. We had some good people around us. And then I lucked out and got a part-time job at the Art Institute of Chicago teaching for about 6 or 7 years, which was great too. So that's when I moved down to Chicago, and then Bad at Sports all came about. I started doing my own practice of sewing things and then covering my building. My apartment, that was my first like building piece.
Inside or outside?
Outside. Yeah, fully outside. It was kind of an FU to the art community, I'll be honest, because working in fabric at that time, it was not cool. Like I was suggested Etsy many a times.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, fuck you. Like I just got my MFA. I'm teaching at the artist. Why can't you see me as an artist? Like I had a show, I was in a group show. I had like 24. I had a group show. I was in at White Columns. I had a show in fucking Berlin. It was like huge. I got written up in all these magazines. Like for some reason, Chicago was just like, nah.
Really? So did that
Yeah.
prompt the move to New York?
No, it actually prompted me to cover a building because I was kind of like, well,
Ah,
if you fine. If you don't want to listen to me, I'm going to cover a fucking building and see
yeah.
how it goes. And it was kind of just a way for me to release all that energy because it was just enveloped in painters. No offense. I love painters and I love paintings. Disclaimer. But I have talked shit about them for years.
Well, there is a thing though. So like painters, I understand. Like I had teachers in under when I was an undergrad.
Yeah.
It was almost like I didn't realize it. I was indoctrinated into like the painters painter academy. And
Ugh.
they didn't call themselves artists. My teachers, they called themselves painters. It was like
Ugh.
just I know
Ugh.
so of course, but it was great for me. I had something to sort of go against when I was in grad school, and I was like,
Mm.
I don't want to be
Nice.
doing that. So and no
Oh, that's
offense to
cool.
yeah, it was like a way to, it was like I had to go against that. But then what do you hang on to? You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because I loved painting, but I didn't want to be that kind of painter.
I get it. I mean, it's the art community is fickle. Like
Yeah.
figuring out where is it social? Is it commercial? Is it like cultural? What do you want to kind of fall into? And I think it's kind of all of the above, but definitely certain areas I'm like, ooh, this is me. This is my community.
Well, it
Um,
seems like you're very good, and it sounds like you've always been very good at bringing a community to you and
yeah,
forming these communities.
I just love people. I think people are great. Like, I really like hanging out with people. Like randoids, like you give me a group of random people, put me in a subway. I will talk to everybody. Like, I don't care.
But that's a superpower.
It is a superpower. I mean, it's I just find everybody is this is going to be sounding kind of cheesy, but it's parallel to me finding fabric pieces in the thrift store. Like you get this pattern, right? And you're like, where did it come from? Who is buying this? What were they going to make with it? Like all these questions of um kind of like inquisition of like figuring out who like unlocking the puzzle. And I feel like people are the same way. Like, how did you get to this point? Where are you in your art career right now? Or oh, you're wanting to go down the street and paint your name all over the place. I don't know. It's there's just lots of ways to kind of get to know people. I'll be honest, like what just popped in my brain. So as a side job, when I moved to New York, actually in Chicago a little bit too, I started selling eyewear, became an optician. And it was kind of a great job for an artist because like I was able to connect with people and I kept working at weird places. Like I never worked at Lens Crafters or anything like that. I worked at I Spy Optical or Salim Optique and it was these kind of high-end design places. And what was awesome is that you just had to like get to know someone in this very short period of time because they were blind most times and you had to give them their next level of aesthetic for the next 2 to 5, 10 years. And it's scary because you're kind of trusting this person. And I was like, I want to be trusted. Like, I want you to feel okay that I'm going to listen to you and hopefully get you to that place, push you a little further for excitement and then send you on your way. And it was great. I got to know so many different people. And actually, part of moving to New York, I got to know a ton of the New York art scene and kind of like later art scene because I was in Soho. So I got to know a lot of older artists who had been there since the 50s and 60s and 70s. Um, and we've created these friendships, which I feel very appreciative of because it's like learning as an artist, how did people before me live in New York City for this long as artists? And what happened to their career over the years. I mean, it's sad. A lot of people are now passing away because I'm in an older time period. So a lot of my friends are getting older and yeah, anyway, it was I forgot why I was going there. I'm a
So
queen of tangents, but
no,
yes,
no,
get to know people. I talk to
yes,
people. Yes.
yes, and it's who are they exactly? What is their I can really relate to that. It's like who are they? Where are they coming from? What is their experience? And I think in art, I just had a conversation with I don't know if you do you know Jonathan Allmeyer, the painter?
Mm-mm.
He awesome painter. He mixes all of his own pigments, and it's just but
Nice.
he really thinks about paintings, things, objects as almost like he anthropomorphizes them. Like he sees them as having a kind of consciousness
Cool.
which I think they do. So everything you make is kind of like, well, what is it? Where's it coming from? There's this whole history there, and you can really get into the sort of like the deeper consciousness of each thing and each person, and
Yes.
what's the texture, what's the pattern, what's the tendency, and pigments too. He was saying that each one they do different things. Like we mix them when you buy them at the store, they've been homogenized. So
Hmm.
there's all these anti-caking agents and so forth that make it all the same. But really, each pigment, they're different minerals. They have different properties, and just like each person is going to be a different entity. It's amazing. So this is the apartment. We'll go
Oh
back
yeah.
to Chicago. You just did your first
Building
installation,
piece. It was
building
called
piece.
Rapunzel. It was called Rapunzel. Go figure. Yeah. And it was out of my apartment window, and it was all the fabric I collected in 5 years, and I put it into this big piece, and I draped it outside. I talked to my neighbors downstairs. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to cover your window for 2 days," and they're like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." So, and fabric, these pieces are cool in their own windows. If you ever look at my website, you'll see like it looks like stained glass when light goes through it, which is pretty awesome. But So we draped that piece and was up for 2 days. I hired a photographer. And just the best part was the random people that were walking to the train every day just were in shock to see this thing that big within their like residential neighborhood. And it was on Armitage and Humboldt, if anybody lives in Chicago. But and it was, yeah, it was magical. And then the photo looks amazing. It's the thing we all remember. And I think that that really goes into a lot of my work because I don't leave these pieces up for very long. Some of them much longer, depending on now, since I've done it for almost 20 years. So I did the piece in, I think it was 2003 in Chicago. And that was the first building piece that I draped. I did another one I forgot in Chicago called the Teardrop. That was a random one where it was an actual teardrop that fell out of a building, and it was during the wintertime, and I put a heating blanket inside. So you could get inside the teardrop and it would balloon up when people would get inside and look more like a crying building. It was actually because the woman who was living in it, who was sadly the curator, was going, I hate to say this, going through a big breakup at the time. And it just felt so emotional and heavy. And I was like, I want this poor building just to squeeze a little bit of juice out of it. And yeah, so
And
that's what,
you gave it some levity, it sounds like too.
yeah, I tried
Yeah,
because I was like,
yeah.
well, everybody has to get in. It's a little healing moment. If you get inside the teardrop, maybe it'll lift us back up. The crying is okay.
For me, I haven't. I would love to see something in person, but when I'm just seeing it, it's just like that's just like a moment that's like a bright spot in
Yeah.
somebody's day.
I
They're
hope
just
so. I
it's
mean, like that is the idea. I mean, the idea is
yeah,
shock and awe. It's
yeah.
supposed to like give you this awe-inspiring moment about your own neighborhood and to kind of give you this reflection that like going from point A to point B doesn't have to look the same every single time. And that art can be that moment where you're like, wait a minute, what? And then scale becomes important, like what your human body is in relationship to the building, relationship to the earth. You start questioning all these things because fabric itself, too. I mean, each project is made by thousands of pieces of fabric. And so if you can zoom into one thing and then you zoom out from to the whole piece, that scale kind of parallels like the population of the earth and like as a human being, what it means to stand on the globe and how small you feel in the universe in some way. That's what I hope. I mean, it doesn't mean that everybody feels that way, but um that is kind of like my thought when I'm working big. I like giving people that moment of where they have to think about their own human scale and how in relationship to the earth, the mountains, everything, it can be questioned or you can kind of have that out of body experience in some way too, of like, oh, I can think about myself not being here or being here, but in a happy way, I'll be honest.
Definitely. So what is the process?
I mean, so the nexus of it all, every time, like usually an institution contacts me, I kind of say to them, I was like, listen, this is an opportunity for you to connect with your community. Beyond just making the big sculpture that we're going to be covering onto the building or draping on a building, we're going to be hosting these public sewing days, and you're going to be working a little hard, but working to interact with the community that you reside in. And so first what we do is we send out a call for fabric donations. And it's very specific color, colorful, 100% cotton. And we put bins in places that we might have public sewing days also. So like public library, senior centers, community centers all around the city. That usually takes 3 months. Like I give it time because just like any kind of community activism, people have to feel comfortable. Like the word participation doesn't mean, oh, everybody's running to do it. You have to give people a moment to kind of let it sit in, maybe talk to their friends about it, feel like they're accepted, because the art community is still exclusionary. And so if I'm working with this thing, which is sewing, which is not traditionally always an art community thing, the participants, many of them are people that sew, but don't always participate in the art community, and, which is great. And so it's like my little secret is that I'm trying secretly to bolster the art community and to increase its audience and respect and understanding by hosting these, kind of being the liaison between the contemporary art world and everyday peeps in some way, citizens. So first we do the donation of fabric, we acquire all of it, organize it by color and tone. And then with the art institution or institution I'm working with's help, we organize these public sewing days. And really what it is I get in a car with all the sewing machines and the fabric and the threads and the notions. We drive to, say, the public library. We need tables and chairs and electricity. And I set it all up within a half hour and we open the doors to everybody and anyone, no experience necessary. And I just woo people and give them like celebratory hoorays. And we build it together very slowly. And one project we'll do like 150 to 200 public sewing days. Like I'm not talking about like, oh, five and da, da, da. No, it's like we're freaking meeting people. Like this is not a passive hangout. I mean, a lot of times what art institutions do now is they say, oh, we're hosting community things. And again, the word is I'm hosting. It's all about them. And so this project, what it does is it says, okay, you host a lot, but you got to go places. You got to be in other locations and show that you care about their location and their space. And so that's why when I go out, and usually I try to get curators to come with me, try to get the directors to come with me. So I'm like, you guys got to show up. You can't stay in the bubble and then I do all the work and then it's up on the thing. You have to come to the sewing days and even just once or twice, having your face be shown, having someone be able to interact with you, even if it's for 20 minutes, you don't even have to sew, is really important. And it works. And because a lot of times I'm also the antagonizer, like I'm the person that's getting everybody together. So during a public sewing day, we'll have people that love to sew. And I was like, you get to choose. So people take fabrics, they'll pin them on all of the tables. So a little secret about my work. One reason why aesthetically they're all kind of in stripes is that it's just a logical thing. Um, Tables are really easily rectangular. And it's just easier to give people that template of the table than to build some random shape that they're like, I can't get my head around that scale shift. So I'm like, great, that table. If you can put all the red on that table and pin it together, we're set. And so that's like part one. And then part two, we send it to the sewing people, and then I teach people how to sew. So there's always lessons going on. And then as we're kind of doing these sewing days slowly but surely, there ends up being people that come regularly that kind of like really get into it. The sewing process is very meditative on my work because you don't have to stop. Like these are fabric pieces, one right over the topper and zigzag. Like it's not folding over, no ironing, no stopping. And so you can stitch for 3 hours straight without really doing much, like no actual intense. The part that we all hate about sewing, which is that you have to stop, go iron, and do something else. And so it's meditative. That's what I was trying to say. It's meditative. You get into the rhythm of it, the sound, just like seeing something finished. It's very satisfying. And then, my job is to kind of bounce around. So I'm encouraging families to come in and teach their kids how to sew. I'm grabbing people who have been there forever and saying, hey, can you teach this person? Giving them the authority to be an authority on the project and to be a teacher, which is kind of an empowering thing to do. A lot of times I push people into being authorities, whether they know they are or not, or whether they want to be. And it just feels so good to see them kind of flourish. And if they don't, I pull back and say, great, don't worry about it. You don't have to do any of that. Like, do whatever you want. Ignore all of us. You don't have to talk to us even. It's whatever people want to do is what we're doing. And there's no pressure to get stuff done. People come in off the street and just want to talk. I'm great with that. I actually have this book that I make for each sewing day and have people just put their name in saying I was here. And it could be that you walked in. It could be that you pinned one pin and left. That's fine. You're part of it. And I think what happens the more and more people start seeing it, they can talk to each other and they start saying, hey, this was actually kind of cool. And then artists come and I'm trying to get them connected to the curators. And it's this little secret networking thing that starts happening between people. And even with the partners who the art institution is working with, I was like, you guys know, you now have the phone number of the curator. Like, you can now do a project in the museum because you have a connection. Like, if I was the one making all these connections, when I leave town, those lines are broken. And so the secret is that I'm trying to get those art institutions and all the people in the community actually connected and to feel like they're in charge and that the museum is not like this autonomy, a little mountain on top of the mountain that you can't touch unless you get past the gates. It's like, no, 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 break those gates down. You're friends with the king.
This sounds like anarchist in the best possible way. You know?
I mean, I wish I had I wish my pitch was a little bit easy, like more fluid, but like I'm using sewing as a way to encourage people to feel more
Yeah,
comfortable to get into the contemporary art world. It goes backwards. It's this wave, the wave comes in where I'm bringing people in and saying, "Hey, it's okay." And then what happens is that they go out and buy art because they feel they're part of it. And I encourage it. And I start trying to get them to apply for things. So I was like, "Hey, did you hear about this thing in New York City? You should apply for. Oh, hey, did you know that this grant's available? Did you know this space?" And then I keep up with people too. I hate to say my community's pretty big. I mean, I've sewn with probably 5 to 8,000 people in my time. And that's individuals who are 2 years old all the way up to almost 100. And I'm still texting them daily. Like we still are friends. I mean, Birmingham, Alabama was 10 years ago, and I'm still chatting with those guys
that's
like as
powerful.
if it was yesterday. And that was a beginning project. That was kind of one of the bigger first projects that I did where I was like, okay, all new. Let's see if we can do this. And I'm so appreciative.
Was this your first museum show?
I guess so. Let me think. Oh boy, I should know this off the top of my head. Um,
I guess I want to sort of back up in the process of how you maybe conceive the idea initially. Do you have like the plans for the building, and then
yeah.
do you do sketches?
Yeah,
So
totally.
so you plan it all. It's all quite
I
planned.
do. I plan ahead. So usually it's like institutions write me, we do a site visit, or if they can't afford to fly me out, I do it with Google Maps or something, not Google Maps, but like Earth or whatever,
Yeah.
just to get an idea. Because the main thing is how are people going to take that image when they walk home? Like the piece is going to be up for just a couple months or whatever. Um, if that maybe well, I mean one piece I had it for 2 days, one piece I had it for 2 weeks. And if you don't make it, if you can't see it, the photo is a thing that lasts forever. And so I really want people, if they show up when they're taking a picture with their iPhone, because that's what people are doing now, it's cell phone pictures. What's the image that they're going to take home? Like why can't I want to think about that. And so the design is based on where people are going to stand and seeing if I can work with the environment. I'm thinking about the whole background, buildings on the side, green space around, and then how can I get their eye to look up to kind of see the piece and marvel and how awesome, mainly how much work they did and to show how inspiring it is that they've done this much to cover this building. Um, so yeah, it's usually and the design is really important because you want people to understand where you're working towards. It's really hard on the daily when I go to the sewing day, people are like, "How is this a building covering?" I was like, "I know. You just have to trust me. I know it's crazy."
Well, they're only
And
seeing a tiny fraction of the.
yeah, exactly. And even if they come multiple days, they're like, "We're just sewing. We don't, where is it going?" And I was like, I get it. And it's this level of trust. And I hate the word faith is too loaded, so I don't like using it, but it is. It's this level of trust and understanding that we will get something done. Here are some previous buildings I've done in the past. This is the image that we're working towards. Let's laugh together that this is ridiculous. And we usually do. It's half the time I'm just like, yeah, I know it's insane. But don't worry, we'll get it done.
You're a master. It sounds like you're like a magician in a sense,
I guess so.
or a mentalist, perhaps. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Like, because
Hmm.
there's like a way in which you're actually directing people. You're saying, "Oh, look at this. We're doing this thing," but it's actually about this other thing over here.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about the
Yeah,
community. It's about
Mr. So maybe that is
yeah,
magician. It's like
yeah,
I'm like, hey, hands over here, but
yeah.
we're really doing this.
Exactly, exactly. Don't look over here. It's actually happening here, and that's where the magic is. And this thing appears. They've done it
Oh,
together. They have all these connections, but it was really about bringing people together and seeing and feeling the
it's
importance of the work.
I mean, I have to hold tears back talking about the final project, I'll be honest, because it is so emotional. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm tearing up right now because it's like the accumulation of all this time and effort. I mean, most of these projects take 2 to 3 years for them to fully come together from beginning to end, and depending on the size. But between grants, writing grants, convincing people that it's going to work, getting everybody on board, install, putting it's huge. And so, like the most recent project I just finished last year was Razzle Dazzle at the Sioux City Art Center in Sioux City, Iowa, and it was a big piece. It was 5 locations, two, what was it, two buildings, three buildings. And I mean, the Tyson Center was nice enough to let us use their arena to like lay it out, just to give you an idea of like how big it actually was.
I'm looking at some images right now. It's
Oh, okay,
and
yeah. I
I'm
was
see,
like,
it's
oh.
Amazing. Yeah,
And
people should look up Razzle Dazzle.
it's pretty awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, the amazing thing was to see Terry, I'm going to call you out, man. She's the best. She's an amazing artist that lives in Sioux City. She's a painter, such a genuine, awesome person. We sewed a ton together, hosted a public sewing day at her studio space. Um, just one of many, by the way. But Terry walked up to it and just started sobbing, and that's what's going to make me cry. But that was that raw emotion.
So, because it's years in the making, there's so many moving
Yeah.
part. There's so many
But
moving
just
parts.
but to see a
You're
volunteer do that, oh, it's worth it. Totally
That's
worth
so
it.
cool. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I break myself on all these projects because they're so physically taxing. I mean, I'm gonna have hip replacements, I'm gonna have shoulder replacements. My hands are all gonna be arthritic. Like I'm expecting it to happen, but totally worth it. No regrets. When I was in undergrad, like I'm in sculpture department because they didn't have fibers department back then. And so I was in this, we even in grad school, there was no fibers. I was just in sculpture, I guess. But then the most contemporary people were in the painting department. So it was just floating between all these departments, not knowing who to connect with because sculpture was too macho. I had no interest in that. I don't care about wood and metal. And then painting, I don't care about painting, but I liked their colors, their brightness. And so by the way, all the professors I worked with in all levels were fantastic and they were all very supportive. So it wasn't about the people, it was more about the cultural kind of understanding of that norm at that point. Fiber is different now. We're
What were you
cool.
making in grad school?
Grad school was making more soft sculptures. And I was kind of obsessed with the idea of what it meant to call yourself an artist because it was such a big deal for me to call myself an artist culturally that I did this whole study on this. I made up this shape called the woe knob. All my friends from grad school would be like, "Oh God, the Wona." I obsessively made this shape like a celebrity. I was like in magazine. They were putting like all these artists. It wasn't about the art. It was about the artists, and it was them like, fashion. And I was like, well, what happened to the work? Like, can we just get excited about that? And so I made this shape as the art star and obsessively made it for like 2 years. And it was like fabric pieces. I would do these performances with my arms through them, but you couldn't see my body. So it was like shaped with human hands. Yeah, it was fun. It was great.
How long after grad school was it that you did your first exterior installation?
Yeah. 4 years, something like that. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. So yeah, if the first one was like 2003, I have to keep looking up years because I'm starting to it's getting to be so far away that I'm
Same.
like
Yeah.
hard to remember, but I think it
Yeah.
was around 2003. So yeah, that would have been 3 years. And I can't think I ever did I did large scale work. Like for my MFA or MA show, the gallery was huge. And I had mountains of hay that I baled in. I built this whole bike ramp thing. I mean, not a ramp, but like circular thing, a dance floor. Like I was big into installation. I wanted to go large. Um, yeah, that's how I've always worked.
So how long was it that you were in Chicago teaching at the Art Institute, making your work until you moved to New York? And
It
what
was like,
prompted the move to New
yeah.
York?
Moved to New York was I needed to be, I don't know. Well, a couple things. So Chicago was fine, but it was too much around teaching. And I love teaching so much. Obviously, I do it in my own practice. Like I prefer it, to be honest. But I do love teaching because I love connecting with people and I love to see the spark of them figure stuff out on their own. I love to add little kernels to see them flourish. Um, but Chicago, I was there for 7 years, I think, from 2000 to 2007. And then I moved to New York just because I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I'm getting old. And New York scared the crap out of me, I'll be honest. Like, I mean, coming from Montana to even getting to Chicago, Chicago was terrifying. It was just big. And then to move to New York, cold. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any connections. Didn't go to grad school. Didn't have residencies. I just moved here randomly. Got an apartment in Greenpoint, which was very lucky, and stayed here. And I had one apartment right when I moved here. If you live in New York City, by the way, it was literally above the liquor store across from McDonald's. It was the loudest apartment. It was so disgusting. Cockroaches. Ugh. Now I'm in my same apartment. I've been there for about 18 years
Oh
in the same.
wow, the same in Greenpoint.
Yeah,
Amazing.
place.
And
Yeah.
your studio is in Bushwick?
Nope, my studio's in Greenpoint. Yeah, I'm like 5 blocks away. It's kind of amazing. Like I I'm like constantly feeling like it's going to blow up because I feel so lucky. So lucky. I rode my bike here. I rode my bike here in 3 minutes. Like that was,
Nice. Oh,
I
that's
had a
amazing.
studio
Yeah.
in Bushwick for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was first I had a studio on the water in Greenpoint, like a million years ago, and like literally viewed the city. And then went out to Bushwick for like 7 or 10 years or something, and then moved here to the studio. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, just enjoy it, right?
oh, I'm trying to
Yeah.
as much
Yeah.
as I can. Oh my God.
And
So appreciative.
you're making art full time now.
Yeah. So I quit my day job selling eyewear 6 or 7 years ago at this point, which is kind of insane. And I'm terrifying always. Feel like I'm on the brink of like losing everything all the time. And then the scariest part is I have so much fabric because I save every piece I've ever made. So anything I've made in the past, I have it. Every project from any building out in the world. If it's the only piece that kind of shredded a little bit was the one in Belgium because they wanted to try to leave it up and they left it up, I think, 5 or 6 months because it was part of the triennial. But a big chunk of it still came back because I don't like to leave them up for that long. I like to take them down because I want to leave people wanting. I don't want them to get used to it. Like I always tell people about if you go to Times Square, if you live in Times Square becomes boring. But if you take it away, if you go and leave, it's still just like insanity in your face. So
So that's a big part of it is for viewers that have this experience that transports them out of their normal.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the idea too is that you have to be an active viewer if you want to see some good contemporary art, in my opinion. And it's kind of demanding people to not sit on their butt. I mean, if you go and participate in one of these public showing days and you don't go see the final thing, that's on you. And I get people coming up to me all the time. Oh, I wish I could have seen the building. How could you not leave it up longer? And I'm like, well, think about what it is to be an audience member. Think about all the artists that spend that much time to build these things. You have to spend time to go see that project. Let me push you forward. If you miss it, you miss it. That's your deal, not mine. Like, I do like to have an end point and to take them away so that the building, because what happens is that the building transforms. You put this piece up, people are lost in shock that it's up and it's bright and colorful, it's 24/7. And then when it comes down, that building just looks weird. It vibrates and the environment changes. It goes back to what you knew, but you're like, it's not like that anymore. You're almost used to what it was going to be, which is this colorful thing. And then it's taken away. And then what I'm again secretly trying to do is get audience members to demand the contemporary art world to make more. Like, what's next? What do we have? Museum, tell us where you're going to put it here now. I've seen it up once. Let's do it again. And so it's just pushing everybody to kind of participate. Does that make sense?
You're creating an experience,
Yeah, yeah,
not just for the viewer, but for the makers of it, for the
exactly.
community.
Hmm.
And it seems like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems like there's a mission
Yeah, for
in a
sure.
sense.
Oh, 100%. Yes. And also to make the people who like give people ownership of the piece in all different ways. You participated by donating fabric and your story is in the building. You sewed a piece. You just showed up and took a photograph and you're so excited about it and you got to see it. I mean, I am traveling on the road a lot and I'll go to other towns and they'll be like, I was in Buffalo and I saw that. Or, oh, my uncle, he was there that year and he got to see it. Like it's a thing. It's this thing that people get to connect and bond over. I don't think that happens all the time. I mean, I think if you all go to museums, you first have to go across threshold of a museum door to see those paintings and sculptures and things like that. This is 24/7. I mean, I get pictures of my work all the time. People are just like, "Oh, I saw it. Oh, holy crap, this is up." I mean, last night they had like a performance thing in front of the piece at the Buffalo Art Museum. I have a piece in there right now. It was gorgeous. All the images, it was like the sun has been setting. I mean, I couldn't have planned it myself. Like it was just awesome. Um, I don't know.
So it seems like it goes beyond you, right? Like
Oh,
you
all the
basically.
time. Yes, 100%. The personal stories that people have with connecting with this work are so awesome because it makes them feel like they're not only inspired just by, it's not even about just looking. Looking is so passive. I'm saying, no, get embedded, like be it, be part of it. I mean, point to that fabric piece and say, that's mine. I want that. I want the kids to find all the pieces that they've helped stitch on. Even if they can't find it, it doesn't matter. They know it's in there. And that's great. I mean, I kind of like that little mystery too. People are like, oh, where's my fabric? And I was like, but that's kind of the beauty of it. It's the collaborative. It's not just me and I see me. It's we're all in this city together. We're all in this civic community. And if it's in there, we just know it's in there. It's that belief, my fabric's in there. Whether it is or not, it doesn't matter.
And I
Sometimes things get edited. And that's another reason why my studio is full, because I can't throw away anything. Like every piece that people give is so important and so heartfelt. There's no way. People always ask the question to me, do you cut them up and turn them into something else? Because, it is about upcycling and seeing if we can think about sustainability. And no, never. Never could I
You
take a
save the
piece.
whole piece as it is.
I saved the whole piece, and it's the name of the city, and it's the group of people that were there. It's a time capsule. There's so many heartfelt stories that go into these projects. People have passed away during projects. It's really intense. It's a very emotionally charged piece of fabric. So even if it's outside and it's beaten up by the weather a little bit or the sun has faded it, it's still this city moment of that time of that moment. It's site specific. So no, I can't cut it up and just turn it into a new building and have it a thing. That removes the community, the ownership of the city to the piece itself. That's another reason why I will schlep all of these pieces of fabric with me everywhere.
They're charged artifacts of
Oh,
this experience.
completely. Yes. I mean, actually, this year is kind of about archiving for me. So I was lucky I got this grant, very small grant. Highly recommend artists go and apply for it. It's CERF, CERF. And it's kind of I got some money to be able to buy archival material to be able to put the fabric pieces in archival boxes versus cardboard. And just thinking about what that legacy means for the future. Like, how do these objects look in the future? I've actually shown them more than one time. So the
Ah,
pieces themselves have gone in other buildings, but it's always referred back to the place that it originated in and the people that were participating. If there's an opportunity to show pictures or ephemera, I mean, I get gifts from people. I keep all those gifts and I kind of like archive them as the story with that project. Um, so yeah, I wish I could afford a full-time archivist right now because that's what I need. Yeah,
also, it seems like just like on a physical level, it's got to be a huge
dude.
box, right? Like, how do
Well,
you?
that's the one reason I mean, this is TMI, but I totally just had hernia surgery because I've been
Oh
lifting.
no!
I mean, these pieces
Oh
sometimes are very heavy, like
yeah,
not
be
that heavy,
careful.
but like the building piece in Razzle Dazzle, the one if you see the glass rotunda, it's 109 feet long by 35 feet tall. It weighs about It only weighs maybe 150 pounds, which is not too bad. And it fits into this massive kind of like package. But lifting 30 of those,
Yeah, you gotta acknowledge your physical
I'm getting up in
limitations. Yeah,
age.
but
Let's
that
just say
that
that.
piece I want to say, but while we're talking about Razzle Dazzle, that piece that's a very apt name, I think, because looking at it just from the
Yeah.
pictures, I'm just amazed, astounded at how transcendent these like scraps of fab you're making the materials really transcend itself.
Yeah, for sure. I hope
And it
so.
becomes stained glass and it becomes this sort of cathedral effect, and then you have this real transformation happening.
Well, thank you. I mean, you should know a little of the history. It's kind of a well-known name. It's a Razzle Dazzle is the name of a camouflage from World War One.
I
If
have
you ever
heard
have
that.
a chance
Uh-huh.
to go and look that up, I've been wanting to name a piece Razzle Dazzle for a long time, just because my work is so linear, kind of similar to that camouflage. And I have this personal history with family with camouflage that I really adore, and yeah, it just seemed like the right moment. But Sioux City was great. We actually won the 2025 Iowa Governor's Arts in Service Award, which is pretty awesome because of all the different projects that happened and cultural projects that happened in the state of Iowa for 2024. Yeah, we were number
Amazing.
one.
No, congratulations. That's
I
so
know.
cool. It,
Well, I mean, the only reason I bring it up is that if you're not participating, sometimes it's just the object at the end that you see. Like you weren't there. So to see the rigmarole of building and the exhaustion and the intensity and the volunteerism and the support and it's so much more than even just the piece that goes up. And so a lot of times it's like, how do I explain to people that beginning part. I mean, the 80 to 90% of it is really volunteer hangout and us building together. And then there's this piece at the end, which is the thing that lasts. We have
Yeah.
photos and photos of people sewing, but it just doesn't replicate like the two together. You need both. You need the time of the volunteerism and then connection with the city, and then you need this physical explosion of color in the environment that really shifts the environment to like give you that transcendent kind of like yeah, above ground experience. And then when it's done, it's really weird.
It's got to be aesthetically interesting. I think it was Carrie James Marshall that was talking about this like effect of it's not
Mhm.
enough to have all the elements. It has to look beautiful too.
Yeah, I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody believes that, and that's okay. But for me, I find there's a transcendent moment where people understand. It's like you're giving them the clue that it doesn't have to look like something. It can just aesthetically be so beautiful in some way that it gives you that feeling like, oh, this might be art, or it gives you some key, visual key that makes you feel a sense of spark of some sort, whatever that aura moment is for each person. I use scale and color as a way to do that because, and in the environment, a familiar environment too. I think that really makes a difference because if I was to go to a museum, it's a blank slate. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to do that. But what I do love is that the people who are going there know that environment already. They've been driving past it every day. They see the museum, blah, 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 or they see this building in the middle. It's just in the background. But when you like slap it with like something familiar, fabric, color is really crazy and it's ginormous. Plus vertical, everything gets way more intense because you just feel small. Yeah, you have this transcendent moment where you feel like, oh, to me, it's about pushing it, saying, yes, I'm looking at art in
And
some way.
you can't ignore it.
You can't. It's very difficult. I mean, Razzle Dazzle you could see from another state. And I mean, Google Maps has put my work in their maps, and that's awesome. And this is satellite. Like, it was pretty cool. In Birmingham, we got our photo from satellite. You could see my little pieces down there.
We talked about this briefly just in terms of like what the impact is.
Hmm.
It's so hard to articulate what art does, what art's doing, and what just on a consciousness level.
Oh, I I don't know. I mean, I think it's so personal.
Yeah, you can't really if
I
you could
don't think I could say, oh, it's just one thing. I mean, I think number one, you have to decide either A, you go to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because right now our culture has said museums and things or public art, this is art. It's been given to us. There's this little placard that says, explains, like, or if you go to a museum, you're expecting like, I'm gonna see stuff that's not traditional. But then like now we have murals and things in the public, like we're advertising is becoming more artistic. Uh, this, oh boy, you really made my brain just explode. Because it's so personal. I mean, everybody has to is going to come about it at a different place. What if you see if it's something so transcendent because you just happen to be walking in the street versus like I'm going to MoMA, I'm going to see this painting. Holy crap, it's 10 times better than I expected it to be. You know, there's it's two different things. The light could be, I mean, I had a double rainbow in front of what was it, the spectral locust piece up in Buffalo, that church, and someone photographed it. I didn't photograph it, but someone photographed it, and it's freaking insane that that happened. And I'm sure it happened for like 3 minutes and then it's gone, you know. But that one person shot that photo. I don't even know who it was. I
you
just
couldn't
got a
plan it.
text
Yeah.
from somebody else. I still have no clue who took the photo, but I will not claim that I took it.
Amazing. Yeah, and then there's all these things that happen that you can't predict, right?
Right. And maybe it's like I don't know. It's so hard because like to me, I see every moment as a moment to make something or to have that opportunity where creativity can be put into my world, even if it's cleaning the bathroom. Like I think about it. I'm like, huh. And so I don't know if I'm the same person as other people. I don't think everybody thinks like that. I don't know why. But you know, maybe
Yeah,
that's
it's because it's hard. I think because it's difficult. It's easier to say, "Oh, this is art over here. This isn't art here."
I don't know if I can say that. That is a rough one.
I'm reading this Daily Stoic.
Cool.
It's great. It's like a little snippet every day of Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or somebody. And one the other day was how you do anything is how you do everything.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about contemplating that. And it's like if I rush through this one thing to go make a painting, it doesn't really make much sense. But if you can put your same level of focus and concentration and love and care into everything you do, I think there's something that happens where it transforms the paintings or whatever you're doing is changed because of that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, for me, I guess I think about my life as an artist. That's very important to me. Just like when I was studying in grad school, what it meant to call yourself an artist. I felt there was such a gift from the culture when I decided to say I'm an artist that they would allow me to do whatever I wanted. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. Like when you label yourself that, when you give yourself that cloak, culture kind of says, sure, go take a shit on the street and call it art. That's awesome. We will support you. Compared to you're insane, don't do that. um, and so I feel like it's my I have to give back. Like I have to say thank you. I'm so appreciative of culture letting me do this. And I don't mean it as if like I'm in trouble or something like that, but I'm so lucky. I
No,
can't
it's really a gift.
it's
The
a gift, but
Yeah.
like it's more than that because it's not even like a transaction. It's not, but it's more of I kind of have to do this. Like there's no question that this is my being and who I am and my conscious subconscious thought is constantly thinking about what can I do next? Where can I make this? How is it? I'm an analytical thinker through and through. And it's all based in art making, I guess, or being an artist, whatever that is. Um, even talking to you right now, this moment, I'm thinking about this kind of braided back and forth of how time is shifting because we're building this conversation and historical document of me talking about my work. I mean, it's very ego driven, but like at the same time, I'm like, hey, did you know these like sewists from Sioux City are amazing?
But there's a generosity
Of course. I like I appreciate it, but I mean, but what do you mean when you say generosity? Because I appreciate that.
on your part. On your part, you're very generous in terms
I love
of what you're. Yeah, and
man.
I appreciate that. You're just in your work and in your
You.
sharing and your story. Really
That's very
every.
nice of you to say. I try.
It's true.
Well, I appreciate people taking that time. I mean, it is such a gift, and I hate that word gift. Um, I love the back. This is where transactions get in the way of language. Like, because I don't like this. I think when I work with all these people at public sewing days, it's like as if we started our interaction or before we even met. Like, it's this undulation that kind of starts with just the project being thought of, then the physicality of being in touch with each other and getting to know each other, and then this non-physicality because I'm usually not there, but our connection and appreciation and understanding of how this piece worked within our lives. I mean, one thing that I tell people whenever I'm doing a project is like, I'm going to be going out to coffee with people. I'm going to be going to dinners. I'm going to stay at people's homes. Like, I'm not a passive hangout person. Like, I want to be friends with everybody.
That's a rare, like, again, superpower, truly, because most of us, and that's the thing that I've been sort of thinking about more recently is, do you know Matthew Ricard, the monk?
Mm-mm.
He's a well-known French monk, wrote the book
No,
Happiness. His teacher,
sadly. Nice.
I can't remember his teacher's name, but I read his book, and he was saying that he, the one thing you really want to do is to not centralize.
Yeah.
And I thought
Oh,
about that for a while, right?
oh, that's beautiful. Yes, of course. I mean, that's like to me, I think about the ego of the artist constantly, or the isolationists of the artist. I understand why people do it. I'm not discounting that some people really need to be in their studio alone and work. And I do too, sometimes when I'm trying to build stuff. But really, I want to be around people. I just feel like their interaction and it softens the edges of your own ego and who you are. It allows you to release some of your own pressure too, of like, I need to be perfect and be the best artist I can. Instead, you're like, we're gonna mess this up together.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
so good.
the first
That's so good. Yeah,
and
that's perfect.
I'm really bad at making, I say this, and I've been saying this in the last like 5 years because I'm trying to make more objects in the studio, and I'm not good at doing it. I'm trying to, but I don't work as well.
What sort of objects?
Well, I have these things in my studio that I have these ephemeral things. They're like, I hate it's kind of fuzzy, but
I'm seeing like,
piece here, it looks like a painting, but
yeah,
it's actually fabric pieces.
yeah.
And it's annoying it's fuzzy. I wish I could
No, those
show
are
you.
cool. I was digging those. Yeah, I really
So
enjoy this.
that fabric came from Birmingham, Alabama. So it's a specific city too. So if I do any of these kind of monochromatic moments, it's offcuts from the project. So little scraps or an edge. Like we'll do a strip that's rectangular. If you think about it literally, a rectangular shape and you turn it sideways, you have to cut the top off. So you have all these little triangles that I keep and they're all the colors. Well, a lot of times I'll put those together to build, I don't know, see what it's like to show, ugh, to put it on the freaking canvas holder.
Yeah, the
I
stretchers.
hate it in the structure. It's putting it into the art world with a capital A by using the stretcher bars. You know what I'm saying? Which also makes me want to vomit a little bit because it just feels so constraining to me. But then I also want people to see it, and I want people to understand all the people that came and helped build that project. Oh, good, you can see it partially. Then
Yeah,
why
I
the
see it.
fuck
Yeah.
is on it? It's stripy. I've I'm not gonna try to fix it right now, but that to me, it's showing the beauty of the zoomed in moment on these projects.
Hmm.
Because if you see the one thing I do that's a little bit wrangly during the sewing days is that it's really important that the fabrics stay the same color and the same tone while we're building these projects because everybody wants to be creative on the table as it's happening. So they're like, "Oh, let's put green, red, blue, and purple together." And I'm like, I understand that sounds great. But for the bigger piece, if we want to build this big thing, it can't look like a pixelated mess. And so I'm sorry. I'm putting the kite. This is my one moment.
It's a community effort, but at the end of the day, you still have to direct things.
Of course,
Yeah.
because they don't, I have the kind of beginning vision and they do as well. And don't get me wrong, I let people go. Like it is not like I'm like sitting over their shoulder waiting. I'm like, well, this is what it is. We're gonna use it. And that's the part that's awesome. Is that's the part you have like you stepped away and this person took ownership. I'm not gonna like deny their ownership. At the same time, if we work together enough, I will feel comfortable to say, okay, so you made 5 pieces that look a little funky and I'm gonna have to chop some up. Can you do it like this the next time?
Well, it's kind of like surfing, right?
I guess so. I don't know. I don't surf. I mean, I'm a skier. So like if I was to parallel it, I grew up skiing being in Montana and I'm pretty good at skiing, even though I didn't think I was good at skiing. And because when all your friends go to the Olympics, you think you're not that good because you're the punk rock kid. But yeah, it's amazing.
So
Like when
you are
you
good. So this whole bad at sports is really
it's a joke.
it's a
I
joke, huh?
know. I'm really good. I was on the tennis team in college. Skiing and tennis, I've been working for a while and I have a solid love for. If you were to talk about a transcendent moment, those are the moments where my body stops thinking, is when I'm really good, when I'm playing tennis. And that kind of happens with the art making too, where you just let it go. Like you don't worry that volunteers are like, go in one direction, or the fabric is you're only getting blue and you want red. And you just let this flow. It's like the ocean just going back and forth, and you're like, I'm cool with this. Like, the more I worry, the more I fight it, the worse it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my studio right now, I'm having a bit of a hard time because I'm fighting my studio. It doesn't have that ebb and flow. It's just me ebbing.
So
And
how are you in this? You're between projects right now?
between projects right now, and I'll be honest, the NEA, NEH stuff really kicked me in the keister, just like the pandemic.
What is that? Like those are grants,
Those are so
right?
because I work with institutions primarily, they can write grants to do work with me to do the projects, to fund them. And so because of that, there's been a lot of fear because my projects are all about collaboration, getting people together, supporting bigger communities. I mean, I've been working with people with disabilities, people of color. Like I try to get the institution to get outside their norm. And I try to find groups that I'm like, can we go to their group? Or if you can't go, curator, I'm going to go and chat with people to see if we can make this connection. It's never an expectation, it's just a conversation. But a lot of times that fosters a bigger connection. So with Dumpster being our president, um, it's definitely put a wrinkle on a lot of museums. I mean, I don't know
Uh,
if you guys have been seeing in all of the Instagram, everything. It's like Arts Westchester lost 280,000 dollars worth of grants. Four artists were midway through their projects and had to just be cut. Like stuff like that has been happening. And so I'm in the little I feel the ripple is what
yeah,
I'm saying. That
yeah.
uncertainty and ripple. I have projects, they might get pushed another year back. It just depends. And then it's have to go private for grant funding and this kind of stuff. So because I'm in the world of public art, grant funding is a big resource or source of my funding for how it all kind of comes together. So
Yeah, and I think that the sort of trouble of it is not even trouble, but I'm sure you could speak to this a lot more clearly than I can, is that the difficulty in articulating the importance, how important it is. If you could say exactly what it is and what it's doing, it really wouldn't be art in the same way.
I don't know. I mean, it's actually like a, a catch 22. I don't know if it is because okay,
Yeah,
contemporary art world
yeah.
wants traditional objects you can sell, commercial. It's in the galleries, it's in the museum, it's an object you can put in the Sotheby's. It's that world. Um, Museums want to bring in tickets, and it's what was I trying to bring? It's I don't know. My brain had a concept about those two worlds. They're just kind of fighting each other constantly.
I feel like there's like the model isn't really working anymore, the traditional gallery model.
The art world right now is just hurting in general because the commercial world is being hurt because the wealthy people are not buying stuff. They're nervous about spending their money. Museums are losing because they've lost so many grants and government funding, and it's a big portion of a lot of budgets. Um, there was just such a support of getting people together through the art practice. I feel like it was something that was I'd seen more and more of over the last 20 years. And so to have it just so intensely ripped felt very strange and confusing. Felt like the pandemic, I'll be honest, because the pandemic was really tough on me. I was midway through a project and had to stop for a year and a half. And I mean, which makes sense. I'm not bemoaning it. It was just what happened. And then I actually was more depressed I've ever been in my life. Just being alone in the studio. Many people flourished. I did the absolute opposite. I was the most depressed I've ever been. I never want to do that again. And so I have a little bit of fear of what's happening. The only good thing is we can get together. Like I actually just did the protest, the No Kings protest, and I feel so happy I went out there. I was a little claustrophobic, and I have to say I was a bit nervous, but I was like that fear needs to be broken through, and that worry and that feeling of doom. I don't want to succumb to it. I believe that we can build things together. I mean, I did it on my own in the beginning. Why can't I do it now? I might not make as much money. I might have to go back to selling eyewear, but I'm okay with that because I still get to build what I love to do and connect with people. I mean, right now I'm trying to think about it's like, okay, if I can't build objects to cover buildings, like how can I flourish this community that I've made for a long time? So I've been working with a friend. I mean, he doesn't know this yet, but he has this VR site thing that he's been working on. He's at University of Montana, and he introduced it to me and he wanted to do something together kind of in this tech world. And I was like, I don't understand. And so it took me some time. And then just recently, last month, I was like, oh, maybe there's a way I can get my community together within this space somehow. Because Zoom is one thing. Like this was the pandemic, this moment, this aesthetic that we're seeing right now, you and I talking to each other. But the next step is how do we, well, two parts in my mind. One is how do we get people together, even if we can't be physically in the same space and not have to look at each other's faces while we're like our own face. Like I don't like looking at my own face while I'm talking to you. um, but this VR space, I'm like, how can I get my people who actually the age bracket is much older because those people are learned how to sew when they were kids. We didn't learn how to sew. I learned how to sew in my schooling, but like people in their 20s, a lot of them, all those programs were cut. And so how could I get people who only use the telephone or maybe like the smartphone barely to like jump into tech and VR? And I kind of feel like it's the same challenge and excitement that I had when I was like trying to use sewing as a way to get people involved into the contemporary art world. It's like, how can I pull people into tech without making them feel isolated or um, ostracized for not understanding, and instead feel like they've done it. Like they can get it by just going on a website. And that's what's kind of cool about this VR thing is that it's not something where you have to sign in, make a avatar, anything. You just go to the site. And then all of a sudden we're all in there and we're all just kind of floating in this space and we're looking at pictures and there's videos and it's 3D and I don't know. So I'm working on that.
If anybody can do it, it sounds like you're the person.
I like to push all the buttons. So that
Yeah.
what does this
Yeah.
do? What does this do?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you got to use all the tools at your disposal.
I figured why not? I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't have a fear of it. I feel I am even trying to think of too, bio art is another kind of direction I'm trying to go because some of my works, I had this horrible moment where a piece came back to me and someone left it out in the rain the day before they were trying to give it to me. So it got soaked. And it was one of the biggest pieces I made. And oh, it's been about 7 years now, and I just opened it up because I did a piece down in Nashville and I wanted to bring one of those works down there, and I opened it up down there hoping, and mildew is starting to hit it. I mean, we dried it like crazy, like the full week and a half of drying this piece, and and I get it. It's part of the environment. I'm not devastated. I'm more just like, ah, crud. So that means something different. That's the life of this piece. It's going somewhere else. And I like that I can't control it. I mean, I'm okay with that lack of control, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to embrace it versus fight against it. So, anyway,
They're living things.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And people pass away, objects pass away, the photo will last. We've got this system of archiving where it's like the photograph of the piece. I mean, if we look at all these moments, when photography was happening, we are like, oh, remember that guy like trying to jump out of the building that photographed the French guy? Anyway, Champs-Élysées, I can't remember. Anyway, we think of that. We weren't there watching him jump. It was or all the 80s like cool things in New York City, Warhol and the experiences, like we lived through the photographs of it. Um, it's it's something that I find interesting how we archive our creative moments throughout our culture and how we kind of see ourselves connected to. I mean, even just like looking on the internet or watching a movie, we feel connected to famous people because we see them so much. We're visually so saturated by their image that we feel like we're friends with them in some way. I have to say that happened to me regularly when they would come into the optical store and I'd be like, "Hey, it's been a long time." And they're like, "I've never been here." And I was like, "Crap, you're a famous person, aren't you?"
Who would come in?
Oh, it's amazing. The stories I have. I could literally do a reality show based on working in the optical store. Like,
Maybe that's the next move.
dude, I know. Bragging rights, I built what's his name? I forget his name. I was gonna say Tony Soprano. Who's the painter? John Curran's painting glasses. Like I built them, engineered them because I'm very proud of this. And then people afterwards started ordering them for me because it was not something that was regular, like, oh, I need the painter glasses.
What were they like magnified or something or what?
Well, okay, so all of you painters, if you need glasses, this is something you should do. Um, say you painting small close up for a long period of time, you need reading and distance. Like I have progressives. So I built a reader like with a line that went straight across the lens all the way up right at the pupil. So you're not like little readers down below, but you're making like a full set of lens. Almost 80% of it is reading. And then the distance is a sliver at the top. It's like backwards bifocals. I think people who do like ceiling paintings have done this before. It's not like I invented it, but I was hanging out with a pretty well-known painter, like, hey, I got an idea for you. It felt good to
That's
me.
good. That's good. That's good.
My little
You
optical,
contributed
yeah,
to the
yeah.
the painter
Right.
right.
I also got to, Marina Abramovic would come in after she did the stare down piece every like because she was actually pretty blind.
Oh, oh wow.
And so she hadn't had her eyes fixed by the time she was doing that stare down thing. And I'm like, unless she's wearing contacts, she can't see anywhere more than like a foot in front of her. I'm probably telling medical information, but anyway, she was a delight. As much as she was an interesting. I interviewed her for the podcast too. It was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done.
Wow.
Um,
I'll have to listen to that one.
oh, I don't know. It's probably pretty bad. Like, just to think of this, they called me that day, and they said, would you like to come and interview Marina Abramovic and Mr. Ligon, Glenn Ligon? I was like, oh yeah, sure. And they're like, okay, be here in like an hour.
Who called you?
It was Art 21, the group.
Yeah.
And it was at some art club on the Upper East Side, which I had never been to. Full eyes wide shut moment. Let me just tell
Oh,
you. They
wow.
brought me in. I was like, oh gosh. They're like, don't touch anything. You can't order food. Don't talk to anybody. I was like, oh my God.
Who owned, it was like an elite art club? Well,
Yeah. And it was this like, and so we go in and it's me and my assistant. It was this woman. I loved Elsa. And we go in and we're both like wearing jeans and a t-shirt. We're not suited for this interview, but we just had to be there. So we go up the inner thing and I'm like, I didn't have time to research. So I just went in and they put me into this room that had no, like, it looked like the door went away when it was closed and it was like low light and a big boardroom table, no windows. And it was just me and Elsa sitting there. And I just started sweating profusely. And then all of a sudden, like Maria Veronica just shows up and we have to start talking. And I almost hyperventilated and she was very nice. She put her hand out and she's like, just breathe, honey.
so was the interview, it was the interview was from them and they heard about you through Bad at Sports,
Yeah, they heard that and they were like, would Bad Sports like to do this interview? Yeah, sure. Come, I'll come right over. That sounds great. Yeah.
but you did it.
I did it. Glenn left. He
Wow.
was like, hell no. He was like, he came in the room, saw what was happening, and just was like, nope, we're not doing this. And I was like, thank you. Awesome. I can only deal with one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. I think nowadays it would be a little easier because podcasting is so in the public consciousness. Like now it's like this is how like a lot of people are getting their information is from
Yeah, I
podcasts.
mean, you've heard it. It's just like this emulation of seeing someone's face multiple times on TV. You get the understanding of what it is to be an actor. If I said, "Oh, be an actor," you'd be like, "Oh, stick 'em up." You have this idea of how to emulate that with your own physical body. Where podcasts back then, it was, but we were really doing radio shows in our mind. And because YouTube, I think, was around, but it was still pretty new, if it even was up. No, because streaming. There was no Netflix or anything like that yet.
Oh, it was pre-streaming.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Like
this would have been way before streaming
it
because
was
I
so
heard of
early.
I heard
Nobody
about
knew
it,
what a
but
podcast
you said it was
was.
like mid 2000s you started it? You
Yeah, it was like
guys,
2003 or
that is so
2006,
early. That is
something.
I didn't hear of a podcast until like 2012.
Yeah, maybe it was 2000. It was before 2010. It was like or '07. So it must God, okay, so maybe 2005, I'm guessing.
That's so early.
So
It's
bad.
amazing.
It
Yeah.
was I would have to explain to people. I have this thing and buried in my brain of like how to explain to people what a podcast is. It was just this thing. And I still want to say it when I tell people about Bad at Sports, but I'm like, oh no, wait, you listen to them now, don't you? This American Life came along. This American Life was around the same time that we started. Like it was in that big like they were, I believe, yeah, somewhere in tandem, somewhere
But I
close
think
to.
they were always pretty heavily produced, right?
Oh, by far. But that was the one reason why I think we were really good is that we sounded good. Because most people at that time, podcasts were like, I don't know if you remember, I actually have a click wheel iPod still, but it was a click wheel iPod, and you could put this little microphone on it that was like like a earphone jack with two little fuzzy things going, and that's how people were recording those podcasts. And it sounded like you're on bad telephone. Like it just sounded bad. So people didn't really want to listen to them because they're like, this sucks. So I give mad props to Richard for, he went to school for audio engineering and we had the equipment to be able to like make it sound good. And so it sounded like this.
And so those guys are still doing it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
amazing.
mainly Duncan.
How
Duncan has kept it going.
amazing. That's
Honestly,
amazing.
I think we should have retired like 5 years ago, but whatever. That's good. Keep going.
How many episodes they have?
I don't know. It's like 800, 900, something
That's remarkable.
ridiculous.
I mean,
I know.
you gotta go to 1,000 at this point.
No. God,
No,
no.
no, it's not.
I mean, they can. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I miss it a ton. Like the one thing I give props, I think Duncan figured this out or something. We did guerrilla marketing back then we would do the recording and then once a week, we did a show once a week. Um, we would listen to the show. First we'd edit it. Then we would listen. Anybody say a name of an artist? One of us that week would have to go in, find a link to that artist, and we'd put it on that site for that person. So if we said Picasso, there was a link to any like site to Picasso.
That's
If
advanced.
anybody Googled Picasso, if we had Picasso 15 times listed,
It would
our
come up.
site started
Yeah.
popping up and people
Yeah.
started. We had over a million people had listened to our show at some point. It's crazy.
That's remarkable.
Well, and it shocked me. That was one reason when I moved to New York, I became friends with people because I didn't know anybody was listening to it. Like Tom Sanford, who was later on the show with me, Painter in Town. Hooray, Tom. Um, he listened to us. I was like, Chicago? Like global connection and conversation still didn't seem, I mean, it was happening, but it just seemed a little bit archaic back then. I was surprised somebody was listening to us.
I
But
don't think anybody
yeah.
could have predicted how popular podcasts would be, but
Oh my
I
God.
think it comes
No.
down to you can sort of maybe trace the idea of authenticity or just like because I think a lot of people have lost faith in the traditional news media. So
Yeah.
for good reason, I think in many cases.
I mean, we were not trained journalists. That was the first thing we always had to remind people. We're like, we're three dumb artists coming to talk to you. Like Raymond Pettibone, hello.
That was a good interview. I listened to that one. It was good.
Oh, that poor, I give such props to Richard for editing that because that was one of the hardest interviews. It was an interview that lasted 3.5 hours and the camera broke because see, the Art Institute was nice enough to give us the interview. They said, you can do the interview, but we get to record it. And Raymond Pettibone, his brain goes all over the place constantly. And so a question would happen and he would answer it with like a tornado. And editing it, I honestly don't know how
Oh
it
no.
happened. It was word for word, you would have to cut and paste. Like it was so difficult. But, hooray for us.
So what do you have coming up?
So what do I have coming up? Oh gosh. I know I should have thought of this ahead of time. I mean, I have like this project in Lisbon is in the works right now, so we're working on that. Upstate Art Weekend, I think I'm going to do this sketch on this building at Mother-in-Law Gallery, which is up in Germantown. Highly recommend going up there. There's some good work. And then oh well, I mean, right now you should all go to the Buffalo Art Museum because you can actually see a piece of mine that's up. Um, the piece that kind of put me on the map was Spectral Locus with the Buffalo Art Museum. I did that in 2016. And the cool thing about that museum is that they have a public art department. So it's like painting, sculpture, this kind of thing. They have public art. So it's the 10-year anniversary of AK Public Art Department. So I'm in their collection because of this piece. And so as part of the celebration, they have an exhibition called High Viz that's up right now and they commissioned me to do a piece during the months of December and January in Buffalo, FYI.
Ooh.
We all sewed indoors, but it was great. We had like within 1 month, 500 to 600 people come and volunteer. I mean, it was amazing. And the piece is up and it's inside. So the new, I don't know if have you ever been to the Buffalo Art Museum?
No.
Okay, everybody needs to go. It's like the most amazing museum. They just got like some ridiculous $1 million endowment from one guy, and it's the Gunlock building. It's this new contemporary building that's super sexy looking. I mean, I think they're like number 5 in the country of museums. I mean,
Hmm.
people don't know how good Buffalo is. Please go.
Yes, I will.
And also go to Niagara Falls. It's right there. But it's a piece that's in there and it'll be up until at least October. We're going to see how the sun, again, the question of how the piece changes because of the weather, but the sun may affect it and then we take it down, or it might stay up for the rest of the year. We'll just going to see. Usually it would come down at the end of June sometime. I think the show High Viz is coming down soon, but my piece will stay up for another half a year. So you can go check it out. So, okay, the one thing I wanted to tell you about, because I was listening to the interview you did with Wells. So as a kid, it's Father's Day today too. So
Ah.
shout out to my dad. So one thing that I was really inspired by him, he was been studying Eastern philosophy and religion for a long time. And it actually kind of leaks into my obsession. He and I have this connection where he would collect like what do you call it? Counterculture comic books, Zap comics, Arkham, Fabulous Freak Brothers, and then I would collect Donald Duck comic books pre-Disney died, and they're really psychedelic and weird. And so I grew up in this world. By the way, my mom's a midwife, so I lived a very kind of non-traditional life. But the one thing about my dad is that he was constantly talking to us about the kind of subconscious conscious thought, moments of when you go into dreams, um, and being constantly aware of like your body. And I think about that a lot, either through playing sports or even making work where you're getting into that motion and your brain kind of shuts off in some way, kind of a meditative state. Um, but as a kid, the best part, I remember my dad saying, like, "Oh, okay, so can you be physically aware of every single ion and element in your body?" So my sister and I would have to walk really slowly. I think it was just a way to get us to slow down, but like,
But he instilled with you an idea of physical
yeah,
awareness. Yeah. Yeah.
of just constantly being aware of every moment, like the temperature that hits your skin and like the way your eyes feel and how your hair grows. So I even have these drawings when I was younger, much younger, where I would try to kind of be awake and asleep at the same time. And I remember doing this one drawing I don't remember doing. That freaked me out. I was like, oh my God. And it was this dream that I had where it was this person with a house on their face. And it was just like a little like cartoon house. It was like the square with a triangle and I drew it. And the next day I woke up and I was like, oh, there it is. That's cool. There's the drawing. But really practicing, seeing if I could get to that spot of like out of body moment. And I try to instill that with volunteers to think about that while we're sewing, actually, because I'm like, how can you get to that space where you don't, it's not about constantly upping between am I the artist? Are you the volunteer? This is the sewing machine. Am I making good art? It all of that analytics goes away and you're just vibrating with the machine. And it's just and then when you get to the end, that vibration is still there and you're just kind of physically seeing it in a different way. And it's kind of like your own vibration between the object and your own personal self. And it's very like it's a spiritual kind of moment where it's only your interpretation of the piece, only yours. It's not with Amanda standing next to you and these friends saying, "Hey, I like it. This looks great." It's just you and the piece and your own memories and all your reactions to how much work you put in, the muscle memory, the history of the fabric that your grandparents gave you. It's this time vibration, being in part of the universe, all put into this moment of looking at that work. Um, yeah, I try to push people into thinking about that. I don't want to tell anybody that. It's kind of like, when you do the moment where you think about the string and it pulls your spine up better, but you just think about it, you don't actually do it. I try to do that with people. I distract them to kind of say, "Oh, stop thinking about how bad of art you are. Just like, here, just sew this and teach that person. Okay, bye. See you later. Ha!"
You're encouraging people to enter this flow state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. To kind
Yeah.
of
And
stop judging and thinking as you're building and to kind of lose that inner critic
yeah, so
as
the ego kind of drops back and you can just
Mhm.
observe.
Yeah.
That's very much, I don't want to say a goal because meditation isn't goal based, but that is sort of one of the things that happens in deep meditation is getting to a place where the ego sort of falls away and you're just observing. Have you ever done do you know about Vipassana, the 10-day
Mm-hmm.
retreats? I've done a few of these 10-day silent retreats.
Hmm.
It's free. I highly recommend doing it. It's
I
you're
appreciate
shaking
it, but
you're
no,
yeah, but it
I am
turns
not a silent person. Have you seen in the studio?
it's not silent. It's not silent at all. There's all kinds of you're gonna be
Oh,
interacting with all kinds of people from your past, your future, your own self, and
I already build
not
that.
as
And
not as quiet as you'd think.
I appreciate those moments. To me, those things stress me out. And I appreciate those retreats for other people. For me, I grew up in a place where I was constantly thinking about my interior, exterior moments constantly and how I'm vibrating in the world in some way, like where ions are just flowing through me constantly. It was just a normal thing. So to go into a space, it felt like I was being constrained. If I was told, don't speak or learn to do this or practice, like those words to me equal rules. And I didn't connect with that stuff because I was like, I want to be like the flow where sometimes I'm the grass in the ocean and then I'm the ocean and then I'm the air and then I'm an ion, then I'm the poop. I'm it's all and it bounces and or I'm not there and that's fine too. All of that equals to this what it is.
It sounds like to me that your life is the art practice, and your life is also the meditation.
Yeah.
You're living it.
Well, when I can and it's funny because when I actually say, okay, now I'm going to meditate or now I'm going to get into that moment, it doesn't work because too it's too forced. I mean, it's that's where I've always not enjoyed the stretcher bar or like the parameters of that square because I just feel, oh, it's so constraining. Stop me.
I like the structure.
Oh,
Yeah,
blah.
I need the structure. I have to have it.
Oh,
One thing you said just a bit ago reminded me of something I went to a monastery up in New Hampshire called Temple
nice.
Forest Monastery, and it's completely beautiful. You can just go, show up,
Oh,
hang
so
out, meditate,
nice.
and there's
Beautiful.
you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You can hang out, you can contribute as much as you want or not,
Mhm.
whatever. These monks put so much into really, really cultivating their consciousness. But once had gave a great talk, this older monk, and he said, "What is unchanging?" And the only thing that's unchanging is conscious awareness. So that's like the place where you
Hmm.
drop back, you step back and look at everything in your life, everything, all the physical things, the relationships, the moments, the art, the stuff, all that is temporary, and transient. Even the photographs are they'll be gone,
Always
all the stuff.
unchanging. I guess I'm
Conscious
confused what
awareness.
that
Yeah.
means. What does it mean to be unchanging?
Well, I guess if you look at all the things that change in your life that are
Hmm.
temporary, even states of mind, in a lot of Buddhist philosophy or even in the suttas, they would say there's like the six sense doors. So taste, touch, hearing, sight, but also thoughts
Hmm.
is considered a sense.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds
Even
awesome.
your thoughts, like that's one
Yes.
for the Western mind to
Oh,
very
that makes sense
any,
to me
yeah,
completely. Yeah,
that's where it gets weird. If I'm not my thoughts, what am I?
I agree.
That's
But thoughts are so they've got values as well. Like
yeah.
they're not all universally the same. Like that's why I kind of feel like it makes sense why it would be a sense because it undulates as well.
Yeah, it
A thought
changes.
is
It
intense.
changes.
It's the character changes,
Yes.
the push, the pull, the intensity, the silence. Like we have language for all these descriptions of whatever we're thinking of, and it gives it value to ourselves, I guess, in some way.
The awareness is always there. It's
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah.
But
Well, while we're alive,
I don't know.
what happens
Is that
afterwards, we
conditioned?
don't
I
know.
don't
The
know.
big
I don't know.
mystery.
I don't know. It's wild. It's so much weirder. I keep saying this over and over, but it's so much weirder than we can possibly imagine.
Oh, completely. But that's why I like embracing it. But I'm also like the jokester that likes to come in and just be like, and put my finger in there in the middle of that stream. So if the water of their life is just flowing nicely, I like putting my finger in there so they get a little ripple for that moment. And that's the only ripple that and because they want to bring it back, but that ripple's still there. And it won't go away. And then it's colorful. And then and then all their history is involved, and now they're embedded with time because they've spent time sewing. Now their family and friends are involved. Now, I'm friends with Amanda and she's texting me and we're having FaceTimes. It's the ripple keeps getting bigger and bigger where it's not just a little bump anymore. It's its own thing. And then you get to react to it because things can balance to it.
And then you've changed consciousness.
I hope so. That ripple, that's what I'm trying to do in my art
Yeah.
practice. Is to give people this shock in their consciousness to like go like my favorite time is the in between of conscious and conscious thought, where you can get people to understand that that's its own space and that they have control over it, or have the ability to tap in or tap out, whatever they feel like. And it doesn't have to be structured. It's like that place where you're just about to fall asleep. Like I make that up. I tell people that a lot because I'm like that moment where you're in control of your body, kind of, but you kind of have to let it go so that you can fall asleep. But then you're allowing your brain to maybe come up with things and be inventive and imagine different things. And then, knowing that there will be an end so that there's like you're going to wake up. So there's this comfort in allowing your body to kind of relax and just to get to that next spot and to not see it as scary or not, you know, that's where I see creativity as being a amazing space is that moment. Like you have a little control, you give up some control, your body's kind of in charge, you know how to do some things, but based on the history of your life, like I learned how to sew, so now I can do it. This friend taught me something, so I can do it. That all accumulates to this point where you're just kind of by yourself and You're just about to fall asleep. I don't know. That's a creative moment. It's like sparking people to feel okay about doing something new, or being that creativity is not scary, or that imagination can give their other life excitement and happiness and memories and nostalgia. Um, Whatever it is, if it's like crafting, or if it's drawing, or talking to people, or whatever, you know, I see it as all part of that experience.
You're not telling people literally, but you're showing them through your example and also through just this moment of connection. They're doing this thing, but they don't really realize what's going on. There's so much that's going on. I saw this talk the Dalai Lama gave. It was like a big event. It was this big I didn't see it in person, but it was like a big gathering of monks, and they all gathered together like it's this huge holiday for the monks, and there's all this stuff going on and festivities and things. And he was saying it's not really about that at all. He was teaching them how to meditate. During the thing, he was saying just subtly watch the breath come in through the nose. Just had this little meditation class, but he was explaining that it's not about all the external, like the bells and whistles. It's really just about teaching this very basic thing that you wouldn't be as excited about learning otherwise, right?
See, it's funny because I almost am more, it's more, to me, it's more about just getting people in there to believe that they can try something. It's more about that than actually doing any of it. Because just that, to me, the first part that you said, the Dalai Lama showed up to talk to these monks, that's all it is. It doesn't matter what he says. We believe that he's okay. He's been given us enough information that, and we've decided as a culture that he's an authority in a positive way, not in a bad way. I may say authority in the way of like we believe him as a collective. And so to me, it's more about him going in and saying, hey, what are you going to do with this?
It's really the narrative, right?
Hey, we're going to cook a fried egg today. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And they'd be like, yes. I mean, that sounds negative. I don't mean it like that. I mean, it's more of the action going into the process.
It's
That's
the intention.
the intention. But
Yeah.
yeah, in a way, it's more even before that, because it's also about the history of all their lives ahead of time that gets them to that point. It's who they were born to or had dinner with 5 years ago. It's all those accumulations of time. I see it as like these compressed lives. Like each person has this lifetime that went from when they met the Dalai Lama that day to their whenever they want to say is the beginning. And it's just like squished and turned into this like air squish of all that moment. That goo is is what all of them come together in that room to do something. I don't know, whatever they want. I mean, that's where the ego comes in, is like it's not so much ego, but like you're just physically conscious there. That's it. There was one thing I wanted to say. Oh, yes. My work, the Dalai Lama and an image of my work were together at one point, which was kind of awesome. I can't remember where it was. I think it's either in Spain or in Grand Rapids. There was some slideshow and the Dalai Lama was there, and there's my work. And we're showing that
He was with one of your pieces.
he was there seeing photos of my work on the screen, and I can't remember what.
That's amazing. That's great.
I don't remember the location or the people. I'm so appreciative and so honored. I can't tell you who to say thank
But
you.
all that doesn't matter.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, as an Amanda Browder, my human self, I want to give thanks to that person. I want to own up to my own personal thing. But really, in the end, it doesn't matter.
You can still give thanks.
Well, and also it's about the fuzziness of memory and
Yeah.
how do we remember things. I mean, I will tell you one reason that archiving is so important to me is that I do not have a linear sense of archiving. I can't. It's very difficult when you have 15 different, 500 people in one project telling you things and connecting and telling about all these important things at different timelines and sending you there's no way unless I had like a team of people. And then also, what do you do with it afterwards? What does it need to be there? Can it just air? Like I like the compressed air of that moment.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Finally, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Bring me to your small town so I can cover your building and meet people. I mean, I have pieces all in the works right now. I have a bunch of projects of people calling me. And it's just curious where funding is going to go. So please support your local art museum and different institutions. If you're an artist, keep making work. Don't be fearful.
Excellent. Well, thanks for talking today, and thank you for all of your work, everything that
Hey,
you
thanks so
do,
much for the
and
conversation.
I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate it more. Thank you.
Thank you.